Welcome to another episode of the House Huddle Podcast. Here are your hosts, Rob Schwartz and Justin Onayemi, two Bears fans who decided talking into a microphone was better than shouting at their television.
Welcome in, House Huddlers. Huddle up. All right, we'll make it even. I don't know why I was
fans.
I don't know why I was the primary there. We'll make it a better shot here. Welcome into the House Huddle Podcast. This is our last episode before week 1 of the season. That is very exciting.
And Rob, you're going to be here week 1.
I am. I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. This is our last Huddle Up episode before the NFL season because there is still one more episode of Hard Knocks. We'll see what happens and if we review it or not. But yeah, so we are here. I want to encourage everyone, please, right now, if you love the Chicago Bears, you like the Chicago Bears, you're clearly listening to this podcast, go hit that subscribe button right now. You are automatically entered into a free Bears jersey giveaway. Free Chicago Bears jersey of your player choice, okay? Even if you want an old Justin Fields one, I won't, throw you under the bus for it, I promise. Hit that subscribe button. Once we hit 750 subscribers, we're going to give that jersey away. We are currently, as I was getting ready to start this podcast, we are currently 113 subscribers away. That's nothing. Let's go. Get it moving. All right, so this is going to be our season kickoff episode. We are going to be looking during this episode at some player prop bets that are specific to different sports books that are out there. Okay, we're going to mention a few on the show that are local here. They could be different in your area. The best way to make sure that you get the best odds, though, is to head over to our sign-up page at signupexpert.com/huddle. Again, signupexpert.com/huddle. And it'll give you all of the sports books in your area that you can sign up for. It shows you all of your sign-up offers. There's also DFS sites available that you can sign up for, which also have sign-up offers. And you can play along with some of these prop bets right there. See which ones work in your favor. Go over there. This is sponsored by BetStamp. All right. How are you guys doing?
Good. All right.
Good.
Excited for the Bears. Very excited.
Well, as always, I'm Rob Schwartz with Bear Goggles On. With me is Justin Onayemi, my co-host. Joining us again for second week in a row is Bob Weiss. So we are going to basically go through some player prop bets. We're going to talk about where we think the team's going to finish overall. We're going to do worst case, best case scenario. We're going to give our record prediction. We're not going to go game by game. I feel like we've already done that. There's no reason to keep going through all that. We're just going to give our overall total record prediction before the end of the season. So with that, we're going to start with segment 1, which we are calling Play or Punt. Play or Punt. If you listen to ESPN Chicago, okay, it's very similar to the cap and hoodie, no shot or no shot type thing. So play means yes, punt means no. Pretty simple, right? We're going to go around. I'm going to throw it out. Justin's going to go first, then Bob, and then I'll follow up with where I think as well. I think we start
real quick though, Rob. I mean, we are doing episode 86.
Oh yes, this is episode 86. Thank you for reminding me. We even talked about the pre-show.
My favorite Bears, Marty Booker. So happy to be part of this episode.
I second that Marty Booker episode.
Yeah,
I think you had an honorable mention though.
Yeah, we're gonna stamp with the Marty Booker episode, but I did feel like we had to give some recognition to Zach Miller, who basically put his knee on the line and should have at least been awarded the touchdown that he did catch, but was ruled incomplete on the play when his knee basically disintegrated and he was no longer able to play in the NFL again.
That was back when the NFL didn't know what a catch was. There was like a 3 or 4 year window where they just didn't know what a catch was.
Yeah.
They've cleaned it up a bit, I would say.
And it was like, because he got hurt and they had so much time to review it and then just like talked themselves into it not being a catch. And it's just like, come on, guys.
Yeah, but didn't the league come back and actually state
I think
that it was a catch like a year or two after?
It was dark days, man. I'm telling you, no one knew what a catch was.
Yeah.
All right, so episode 86, Marty Booker. If I remember correctly, was he had some like huge hands, right? Like that's what I remember about him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a decent receiver. Maybe not the best. Real quick. Where would you put him right now if he was on this roster with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roman Odunze? Where would he slot in those group of three?
No, number 4, I think.
Okay.
I'm putting him 4. I want to see Odunze out there.
It's hard to say Odunze, obviously, since he's a rookie, but the expectations, the hype, and the hope are he's a clear wide receiver 1.
I mean, Booker's got to be like 47 right now, right? So,
okay, I'm not talking. This isn't if Michael comes back from the NBA at the age of 60.
No, I think him and Velas were teammates in high school.
There we go. Awesome.
I heard you guys
Nicely
in
done.
the other episode, and you mentioned Velas, so I'm one behind.
All right. Well, we're going to start with the bread and butter. I think the most important position, obviously, the player that most people are hyped about watching this season, and that's Caleb Williams. So we're going to start. I'm going to throw out just a few different stats for him, mention a couple odds, and see if you guys think that there's a chance he gets it, and you'll say play. If you think there's no chance that he's going to get it, you're going to punt. So right off the bat, is Caleb Williams going to break the Chicago Bears franchise passing record, which is currently held by Eric Kramer, 3,838 yards? Is Caleb Williams going to break that plus throw for over 4,000 yards?
Well, you asked the question in a weird way, so I'm going to answer it in a weird way.
Okay.
I will play that he breaks the record, but I will punt on the 4,000.
Okay.
And I got some math to back it up, but maybe should I let Bob and you get your things in? And then go ahead.
So, I mean, I'm with Justin. I do think he's going to get 3,850, 3,900 yards. But, I mean, the way you've got this listed on our outline here is that more than 4,000 yards is plus 350 on DraftKings.
Yes.
I think those are phenomenal odds because I do have them at the high 3,900. So if I'm getting 3.5 to 1 on my money, I think, over 4,000 yards at 350, I'll play that.
Okay. Yeah, I also would play that with those odds. That said, I also am thinking he's going to do it. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. I have no numbers to back it up like Justin does. This is all of a gut reaction. Hype, hope. My bear goggles on are really, really tight right now. And I'm drinking that Kool-Aid because we're less than 7 days away. Almost less than 7 days away because their game has obviously already been played. He's going to do it.
So here's the numbers I did. I have like a grid. It's got like 9 numbers on it. And it's basically 15 games. If he plays 15, if he plays 16, if he plays 17. And then it goes down. If he averages 230 yards per game, 240 yards per game, or 250. And then I just ended up in the middle. He plays 16. He averages 240. That puts him right at 3,840. He breaks the record. But now I did a little bit more number crunching, and I don't know if I should put his number up a little bit. So last year, do you guys know who led the league in yards per game passing?
Per game?
Per game.
Was it Dak?
I know
Dak was 5th.
Okay.
Dak was 5th at 266 per game.
I was going to say Tua, but now I feel like it wasn't Tua.
Tua was number 2 at 272. And number 1 was a rookie, C.J. Stroud, 274.
Oh, wow.
So it can be done by a rookie.
Yeah.
But even if you go all the way down to 10th, which was Jordan Love, he averaged 245 per game. So basically I said, let me slot Caleb Williams in at like the 10th most yards per game, even a little under that from last season. And if he plays 16, he breaks the Bears record.
Okay.
Could be done.
Yeah.
Nice. I like your number crunching there.
That's what I'm here for, Rob. That's what I'm here for. This Justin.
Now, I will say that MGM, their sportsbook has the over-under on this at 3,476. Obviously, we all are in agreement that we're playing that. The odds aren't as good. I didn't write them down, but
those are probably even money odds.
If I remember correctly, it was either plus 120 or plus 140. So you get a slight little bump. Okay, well now how about touchdown?
You guys convinced me. Be a little brave. Go for it. All right,
Okay.
go ahead.
Nice. Now let's talk about touchdowns. The Chicago Bears have never had a quarterback throw for over 30 touchdowns. I think the closest is also Eric Kramer at 28. Does Caleb Williams break that 30 passing touchdown threshold in 2024? Justin.
I'm going to punt. But again, all the Bears records are pretty bad. And there's an extra game available to him. But I'm going to punt on 30.
Bob?
I'm probably punting too. However, as we'll get into some of these other props, I do think the Bears goal line offense will end up being pass heavy. So I could see, just lobs to Odunze. I can see multiple tight end sets. I can see exactly just a lot of little quick slants to Keenan, right? So 30 is still a lot because I think just the rookie record in general is what Baker Mayfield at 31 or something like that. I could be a little bit off on that, but it's tough to do. Even Stroud, did Stroud even do it last year? I don't think Stroud did it last year.
He had 28.
So I'm probably punting. I'm 30 plus, but again, I anticipate there being in the high 20s, but to get over 30, I'm not sure about that.
Stroud only threw for 23 last year.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'm punting on 30 or more touchdowns for Caleb.
Yeah.
Four quarterbacks had 30 or more.
I'm also punting. I don't think he gets to 30. I think it's going to be more like 26. Maybe flirts with the franchise record of tying it at 28, but 26 seems to me like the sweet spot for him being here as a rookie. That said, and obviously Vegas agrees that that's probably too high of a number, right? So DraftKings is going to probably be one of our main sources for prop bets because I couldn't find them on every other site that was available.
I was looking at too. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
What it is I think you're going to find the prop bets for individual games on those sites like MGM, Caesars, that type of thing. They had them for individual games, but they didn't have like the futures for the full season when it came to individual stats. DraftKings, though, they have a ton. So go check it out. DraftKings has it set at 23.5. So I think I've already gave my away. I don't even have to say it because I said 26. I'm obviously playing, but Justin, where are you at there?
That I will definitely play.
Okay.
I mean, 24 in 16 games is 1.5 per game. I would hope he's doing that. Originally, I kind of projected all my stats at 15 games. Obviously, if you throw 2 per game, that is your 30. So I could see it being a little less than 2 per game, but I would definitely say over 24.
Bob?
I'm going to go a little contrarian. Like I think he probably will, but I'm not like for an even money bet. I'm not super confident about it. Like we just said, Stroud had 23 last year. Like things can happen where maybe they are more rush heavy. Maybe he gets more rushing touchdowns on his own at the goal line and he just sits at 21, 22 and he doesn't quite get there. So I'll just say, I'll punt on the 23.5, but, not because I think he's going to have a bad year, just because, that number it's a harder number to get to than it looks like.
And again, I didn't write the actual odds down, but I do recall that the under had slightly better odds than the over. So you're also playing the odds. All right. So I wrote it in a weird way on our outline here, but basically over under. Is Caleb Williams going to throw more than 17 interceptions this season, which is basically 1 interception per game if he plays every game? Now, I wrote it as an average. So if he only plays 15 games, again, you're not going to find this as a prop bet. If he only plays 15 games, 15 interceptions, he only plays 12, he throws 12 interceptions. So think of it that way. Justin, I'll throw it to you.
I will play the under. I think both in terms of how the Bears will try to call games and the way he will play games, the value of protecting the ball has been made very clear to him and everyone else. They have a good special teams. They have a good defense. Live to end your drive with a kick. 1 per game, that's not terrible for a rookie, but I think he can come in under that.
Yeah, I think he'll come in under that, but I think just under that. I think we are going to see him test some NFL windows. I think he's going to really try to push himself figuring out. And like he's, I don't necessarily agree with Eberflus's philosophy on his young quarterbacks about stressing the ball. You can't throw turnovers because in the NFL, you got to learn how to sling it. You just have to. So I do think he's going to have, some interceptions, maybe 13, 14, 15 interceptions on the year. But I do think that at the end of the day, he's good enough that he'll keep it under 1 per game. But, so I'll take the under. I'll play.
I'm also going to play that. I think it's going to be like right around 0.75 is his average per game. But like you said, Bob, I mean, Eberflus is kind of pushing he needs to be a point guard and just, use the people around him, play the game that way. And I'd rather him become Michael Jordan and just be a star.
And I think that's what he wants to do. I think that he knows that he's got enough job security that if he forces the issue a couple times, he's got a little bit more sway there than Eberflus's, his philosophy.
So, Bob, when you said he's going to test some of those windows, I think he's going to test and pass a lot of those tests.
Oh, I think so, too. But, there's
going to be in the corner where Odunze's feet were out. There were so many bangles between him and Odunze,
right.
But he just fired it and put it there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, he also had like 1 interception that was pretty much dropped, and then there's some other things that already in just his 20-some snaps he might have had a couple picks or could have. Obviously, whatever, defensive backs are defensive backs for a reason, but he's gonna figure out exactly what he can do, and some mistakes come along the way.
Let's move to the wide receivers, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently than what's on the outline, guys. I'm going to kind of lump them all together so that we can try to speed this section along a little bit. But right off the bat, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, are you playing and passing for either of them / both of them breaking that 1,000-yard mark in this season? Justin?
All right. I will go first again, but I do think we should switch it up at some point and let Bob go first. But I'm playing double play for that. They said they're racing to 1,000. They're both fully capable of doing it. We have Caleb Williams throwing for near 4,000, and those are going to be his 2 most likely targets. So I have them both going over 1,000.
Yeah, same. They're going to both going over 1,000. I think it works out to 56 yards a game or something like that, 58 yards a game, I think. It used to be 62 with 16 games. I don't know what the math is on 17 games. So, I think Keenan's just a perfect security blanket, 7-8 catches a game for 65 yards type thing, and then, big play more. So, they're both going over 1,000.
I'm also going to play that because you should never predict injury. Obviously, if you're really betting these things, maybe you try to predict injury, and Keenan Allen does have an injury history. But I think both of them are the 2 main targets, like Justin said, and they're going to break 1,000 yards. Just a little note here. If you go on DraftKings, they have that line for DJ Moore set at only 950 yards. So if you're definitely playing that. And Keenan Allen, that's even lower. They have it at 800. So if you're looking to play those 2 on DraftKings, those are your numbers there. Let's throw Rome Odunze in the picture, and I'll throw this to Bob first so we can switch this up a little bit. But MGM is actually where I found this because they do have a prop bet for him. And receiving yards, they have it set at 651 yards. DraftKings is at 675. Are you playing either of those?
I think I am. I think I'm playing the over on those. And, in my head, I have it about 800 yards for him, 825 yards in that ballpark. Top 10 receivers generally don't have too big of an adjustment period in the NFL. Rome's biggest obstacle is being the number 3 receiver. So, I do think that there's going to be enough big plays. I mean, he should get, 200 plus yards this year on just 5 of his catches, right? And then, just with some big plays. And then for the rest of it, I like him to get over 650 for sure.
Before we go to Justin, I think you missed one other thing. His other obstacle is having those end zone lines painted in.
Hopefully they fill in the paint in the regular season.
All right, Justin, where are you at on that?
I was trying to do a little research. I wanted to see what JSN put up last year.
It was 6 something.
Doesn't seem that high to me. neither does 675. I don't know if I'll go quite as high as Bob went, but I could easily see him eclipsing 700. So I would play that.
Okay, just to give you an idea, or that number, Jackson Smith-Njigba, JSN, had 628 yards in his rookie year. So, as we've mentioned, as we've mentioned many times, Shane Waldron had all three of those receivers, Metcalf, Lockett, and JSN in Seattle. So we're kind of expecting something similar here in Chicago. All right, let's go touchdowns. Just give me player punt for the over/under of DJ Moore at 8. Keenan Allen at 7, Rome Odunze at 5. Bob, you can go first again.
I like DJ Wright at 8, so I don't know. I'll go the under because I'm going to take the over on Rome. I think Rome's a red zone weapon. I see Rome having a disproportionate number of touchdowns to his yards, and then Keenan Allen at 7. This goes back to why it's so hard for Caleb to get to 24 plus, but Keenan at 7. Yeah, I'll take the under on Keenan too. So the under on Moore and Keenan, over on Rome.
Yeah, it's interesting because neither one of those had halves, and I was thinking these could be pushes for sure.
Yeah.
I would say over for Allen. I'm nervous about DJ getting that many, and I would go over for Rome. I love what Keenan Allen has done against the NFC North last season, and so he'll get to play all those teams twice. I think he's just a big body target, kind of like you said, maybe in close range situations, red zone situations. So I'll take the over on Allen, over on Odunze, and I guess the under on DJ.
I'm going to take – I actually think it's going to be a push. So I'm not going to play. So I'm going to punt the DJ Moore one because I think 8 is probably his sweet spot. That's what he got last year, and it was the most touchdowns he's ever had in his career in one season. I think Keenan Allen probably does get over 7, and I think Rome Odunze gets over 5. Probably 6 or 7 for Odunze, and probably like 8-ish also for Keenan Allen. So I think those numbers are pretty accurate on where they're going to be. Again, maybe the Odunze one's a little bit on the low end.
For all the listeners, every time we all three agree, they should just play the opposite, though, right?
That's
probably. That said, guys, in the comments, give us the ones that you think maybe we're way off on, right? Like, I'd love to hear what other people are thinking as far as where you guys think these guys are going to be at over under in the stats. 2 more guys on offense. We'll just do it real quick. DeAndre Swift over 1,000 rushing yards and over 9 touchdowns. Where are you at, Justin?
I'm very excited about DeAndre Swift and how he'll be used in this offense, and I'm punting on both of those.
Same, exactly the same. I don't think he gets to 100 or 1,000 rushing yards. I don't think he gets 9 touchdowns, but I think he's a huge part. Like if we're talking about 1,800 total yards, maybe 1,700 total yards, and 10 plus total touchdowns, that's fine. But just rushing, I think that Khalil is still going to get his rushes. Roshan's still going to get his rushes, and he's not going to get to 1,000 rushing yards, and he's not going to be a featured goal line back either.
So I'm going to be a little bit different than you guys. I actually think he's not going to break the 1,000 yard mark. Probably get like the upper 8s, maybe to the mid 9s. I think he's going to get double-digit rushing touchdowns this year. I think he's going to get them from outside like the 10, and therefore the goal line's not going to matter as much. Again, just gut reaction that I have for this. So Cole Kmet, that's my guy. Not as high on him this year for fantasy.
Yeah,
gave that away for UFFL. Sorry there.
Don't give away our strategy, Rob.
He's not one of the top 8 tight ends in fantasy. Okay.
I don't know. Is that a shocker? Cole Kmet, 600 plus yards and 5 plus touchdowns. Justin, we'll go back to you for this one. Where are you at?
Well, again, I think he'll play well, but I'm going to go on the under. I just think he'll be the victim of the ball. There's not enough balls to go around. So I'll punt. Double punt.
I agree on the yards for sure. I don't know if he gets to 600, probably 500 or something like that. But the touchdowns, I'll go over. I say he gets to 6 touchdowns. That's fine.
So he's only broke 600 yards twice in his career. Obviously, there's got to be some yardage to go around because we're expecting more passing. We're expecting more yardage than what we've seen over the last couple of years of Justin Fields. I'm going over the 600-yard mark again even with Gerald Everett there, but I think it's going to be a punt for me on the touchdowns, mainly because I think 5 is that magic number, and I don't think it's going to get over or under. I think it's going to push. All right, we'll switch it up real quick. I only have 2 guys on defense. Montez Sweat, 8.75 sacks. Where do you guys have him?
So I got him right at 9 sacks. So I'll take the over on 8.75 sacks.
I was going to make fun of the 7.5, but it makes sense because half sacks are a
Oh,
thing.
that's true. That's true. All right.
I think that does make sense actually.
Yeah.
But I will say, go ahead. Sorry, Bob.
I would say Montez, like, he's obviously a stud, but like he's not like a pure pass rusher. He makes impact on all 3 downs, and so if he, again, just because I don't think he's going to get to 12 sacks again, doesn't mean I don't think he's going to be a spectacular player for us.
Only player ever to lead 2 teams in the same season in sacks. That speaks to how bad both those teams were. But he did have 12 last year. I think he'll get to double digits again, so I'm definitely going to go play on the 8.75.
Yeah, I'm also going to go play. I think this way this defense is set up, I think he is going to be a wrecking crew, not necessarily like Khalil Mack, but maybe like Khalil Mack light. So I am going to definitely play that one as well. And we can't do the next one because I actually didn't write down the number, and I was trying to pull it up really quick on DraftKings, and I don't know what the over-under is on
just make a
Johnson. So I'll just set the number, and you guys tell me. I don't know where DraftKings is at on this one. So for Jaylon Johnson, I'm going to just say 4 interceptions. Are you playing or passing, or playing or punting? Bob, you can go first.
I'll punt. I mean, again, a phenomenal player, but I don't know if he's going to get the ball thrown at him enough to get 4 interceptions. And then, it's not necessarily his MO either, the turnovers. So I'll go under 4.
I would imagine he could get 4, which is a push. But I'm going to punt on this, and I think there's someone else on the team that will lead the team in interceptions, but I guess we can get to that later.
Yeah, way to
we might be on the same page on that one.
That's called a tease in this business. I'm also going to punt, and I think one of you guys mentioned it recently, that is this going to be the new island, right? Like, is Jaylon Johnson going to be the island, and that he's not going to get thrown on as much? And that, in essence, is going to be less opportunities for him to intercept the ball. So I'm going to punt. I think 3 is probably his magic number. All right, 2 more things. This is not player related. Matt Eberflus right now is tied for the best odds to win NFL Coach of the Year. Okay. Bob, what do you think?
I mean, it's just, hype is just such an unreal thing. Like, this guy collectively, the public opinion was supposed to be fired in the offseason. And so now, because he was supposed to get fired and his team might make the playoffs, that's going to make him Coach of the Year. Like, I don't know. It's not that I don't like Matt Eberflus. I guess he's fine. But I'm going to punt Matt Eberflus winning Coach of the Year.
I'm going to play it. Kind of for the same reason, though. I mean, I just think if the Bears win 11 or make the playoffs, like you said, it will be such an ascension from where they were that will get him the votes. Meanwhile, Andy Reid could go, 13-4 and barely even get a notice. So I think if the Bears are good, he has a pretty good chance.
You literally stole my thunder with the Andy Reid thing, because I was going to say the exact same thing, that Andy Reid should basically, to me, it should either be Andy Reid or Kyle Shanahan almost every single year. In this case, Coach of the Year is more of a narrative award. So here we are, bottom feeder team, gets a new quarterback, makes it to the playoffs. Is it really an award for Matt Eberflus, or should Ryan Poles get GM of the Year and someone else get Coach of the Year? I am going to play it, though, for the same reason Justin did. I think it's a narrative award, and he has a really good shot at making it. What's interesting, though, is he is also one of the lowest odds, most likely, to also be fired by the end of the season. So you got it on both spectrums here. Where are you guys with that? Bob, I'll let you go first again.
I mean, there's no chance he's getting fired. Like, it would have to be an absolute dumpster fire disaster for him to get fired. Like, his chance to, be replaced was already this offseason. And it wasn't with like, well, I guess we'll give him another shot. Like, no, he's their guy. So it would have to be absolute disaster for him to get fired. So no, I'm punting him getting fired, I suppose.
This is a Tory Taylor sized punt for me. I mean, we were pinning this one way back in the corner, 60, 70 yards and travel. He's not getting fired unless it's just horrible, which I just don't see how that happens.
I'm on record on a different podcast, on the Bumps podcast. If you're looking for that, Chicago's, I always mess it up because I always call it the Bumcast. Chicago's, oh God, Peter's going to kill me. Kill me.
Quite a plug you're giving for him here, Rob.
I feel so bad. Just search Bumcast because it's literally
I'll bring him up right now. So
literally how I find it.
Channel, we might as well get it right.
Chicago Sports Bums.
That's it. Chicago Sports. I can only say Chicago City. Chicago Sports Bums. They are awesome. We were just on that 2 weeks ago, and I literally said they could still go 3-14, and he still would not be fired. So clearly, I am punting the chance of him being fired. That pretty much answers my last question regarding that. Was which one was more likely? I think we've already declared that from the three of us, so we'll just skip over. And then finally, the Chicago Bears themselves as a team, they are minus 110 to make the playoffs. That's basically saying Vegas thinks they have a really good shot, right? I mean, the odds are basically even. It's not really good odds, but are you playing that? You punting that? What are you doing here, Justin?
I'm going to play that. Making the playoffs, that includes the wild card. NFC South is still a division that doesn't seem that great to me, so I feel like they're just going to send their division winner. So I feel like Bears are definitely in the hunt there. So I would say they can make the playoffs. I'm playing it.
Bob?
So, I mean, we're talking, Cowboys, Eagles, Lions, 49ers, who I would say are probably definitely above the Bears right now. So that's 4 I named. So then you got the Packers, the Bears, the Rams, maybe. I mean, you still got Tampa Bay and the Saints and Atlanta. They all think they're going to win 9 games as well. So it's closer than I thought it was. I thought for sure that I was confident the Bears are going to make the playoffs, but now that it's actually framed this way and I'm putting some money on a coin flip, I'll play. Bears will make the playoffs.
All right, I'm all
0 prediction. No reason to bail now.
Yeah, I'm playing. I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think anyone but one team's coming out of that NFC South division. So I just think there's a really good shot. You got 2 teams out of the NFC North, and I'm putting Chicago ahead of Green Bay just because I'm a Bears fan. So no other reason than that. And then to win the actual division, to win the NFC North. Now here's some better odds. Plus 280. Okay, plus 280 for them to win the division. In the notes here, I didn't put these in here. Bob actually did. The Lions are plus 130. The Packers are plus 230. So they do think that the Packers have a slightly better chance than Chicago. And the Vikings are plus 1,100. I am not touching that even with those odds. But where do you guys have them for the Chicago Bears winning the actual NFC North? Are you playing that plus 280? And if you are you betting the house or are you just betting the Starbucks money? Justin?
I'm punting on the likelihood of it. If you want to play, just be careful. That's a big jump. So I think like the Vegas odds show, there's 2 teams ahead of them. Something could go wrong with either of those, but it's a big jump. So I'm going to punt on that.
Bob?
Yeah, I mean, it's an odd-based play, so I'm not telling you I think the Bears are going to win the division. I just passed on them. No, I guess I did take them to make the playoffs, but not.
You talked yourself into them making.
But it's like at plus 280, right? I mean, Detroit's going to be playing a first-place schedule this year, so we're going to have to see how they really react to that, right? They're just come off a deep playoff run, so sometimes you don't come back as strong the second year. Their entire secondary is they got some rookies, but it's all rookies. So Detroit, I think it's interesting that Detroit is still plus 130. There's not minus money in the division. And then the Packers, Jordan Love's got to come out and do it again. So at plus 280, I think it's worth putting some Starbucks money on it. I'm not, banking it or predicting it, but yeah, plus 280, I'll take those odds.
I will quickly say Starbucks is not an official sponsor of Hallis Huddle, so we'll put that one out there right now. I'm playing it just because of the odds, but I also am only putting my coffee money on that, and I don't drink coffee. But I'm only putting a little bit on that because, again, the chances of that happening are slim. If there's a way to parlay it somehow and get those odds even higher, I'd probably just do that and try to win some big money off the little money. I do think, though, if there was a way for me to bet that they take second in the division, I would definitely hammer that home way harder. That's just where I'm at. We'll talk more about that later, too. Speaking of that later, we're going to end that segment right now. We're going to take a quick break. So while we are gone, if you are listening to this as a podcast, you can enjoy these ads. If you are watching just on YouTube, you can just enjoy our ad page.
All right, Hallis Huddlers, we are back. Episode 86, Marty Booker episode. This is the last full-on huddled up version of our episodes before the 2024 season kicks off. We're very excited. In the first part, we talked about various odds you might be able to place bets on. Don't forget, signupexpert.com/huddle to look for sports books in your area that you can sign up for and get new, better promotions. This next segment here, we are going to call Who You Got. So we're going to talk and highlight one player from the offense and then one player from the defense that we're excited about for this upcoming season. Clearly, there are more than that, but just the one guy we really want to look at. So I'm going to shoot it over to Bob here. Bob, why don't you tell us on offense, who do you have? Who you got?
So, we spent so much time on Caleb Williams earlier, but I think that's the obvious answer. So I won't go with the obvious answer. I'll go with Coleman Shelton. So he's a guy when we did our off-season preview that, I had earmarked as, hey, this is a guy, he's got, some flexibility. He can start at center, inside out. He can move over to guard if need be. And, he'd be part of a solution to address the center problem. And it turns out he is the solution to the center problem. So if he can secure the inside of that line, get a nice rapport going with Caleb Williams, keep snaps up in the air, and then not just get completely blown up right away. I think the whole offensive line will just take pressure off of everybody else if the guy in the middle is competent. And I think that's exactly what he is competent. That's why I circled him as a guy knows the offense, Super Bowl winner. I don't know how much playing time he got during the Super Bowl run, but I just think it could be a really big key to solidifying the offensive line. So Coleman Shelton.
Yeah, that's definitely an under radar guy. I was not expecting that at all. I also will punt on talking about Caleb Williams because I think that's the clear answer that everyone's most excited about. For me, it's Rome Odunze. I am so excited for Rome Odunze. I don't even care that he's the wide receiver 3 in this offense. To me, it just screams the fact that, hey, if something happens to DJ Moore, if something happens to Keenan Allen, because we know it's football, we know injuries happen, Rome Odunze should easily be there to pick up the pieces, come in, be dominant. We're already seeing it even in just a little bit of preseason, a little bit of camp that we've seen. He is a leader amongst men as just a rookie. That was evident that we saw if you did watch the New York Giants Hard Knocks offseason episode. They had him highlighted as one of the leaders going into this year, but they went with Malik Neighbors over him. I guess they think he's more of a playmaker versus Odunze. I know Matt Harmon, the reception perception, has him basically with arrows everywhere, green arrows everywhere for his catch tree. His radius is just out of this world. I'm excited.
As long as he knows where the inbounds are. So I'm going to do a little trick here of the offense. There are so many people you could look at and see, but I'm going to actually go with Shane Waldron. I want to see how all these pieces are going to come together. And way back before we even knew Waldron was going to be the guy, Bob was on our episode at that time. I love when we have all three of us. And you were talking about, can he teach the offense? Can he install it where all the people know where they're going, and you don't have people running routes at the same distance. The offensive line worries me in some ways, especially if injuries do come up. And Bob, you picked a great one with Coleman Shelton. Sorry. But I want to see, how does he decide to move the pocket? How much is he running? How he's playing tight ends? All those things, all those questions. I got my eye on Shane Waldron.
Yeah, that's a great one. I thought you were going to, when you said go off the wall, I thought you were going to go with Torrey Taylor.
I was thinking the same thing.
No, not offense.
Whatever. It's not the point of this segment. I'm excited to see him too. But
all right, now let's go on the defensive side of the ball. Let's go with Rob this time. Rob, who you got?
Yeah, so on the defensive side of the ball, I am most excited for Kyler Gordon. I want to see a fully healthy season. He was dinged up going into the beginning of the year last year. I want him to stay healthy all year. We saw how he came out like fire in that preseason game that basically he didn't play in the first one, right? So got to see him come out. I know Justin was a little harsh on him, wanting him to get that strip fumble, but I mean, just being able to lay these guys out, the way he hits, the way he gets in the backfield, the way he brings energy to the defense, like I think that is a huge thing. I know everyone's probably thinking Jaylon Johnson, Montez Sweat. Obviously, two really, really great players, but I want to see that transition from Kyler Gordon being a guy to becoming one of the guys. And I think to do that, he just needs to stay healthy.
All right, Bob, who you got?
Yeah, so I mean, Kyler Gordon was going to be my guy. I think X Factor is what I would call like Kyler. I'll go with another one real quick, but I mean, Kyler Gordon. I just think, of course, Sweat and Johnson are the all pros, but I mean, like Kyler Gordon just makes such an impact. The nickel position is so important for Eberflus, and I love what Kyler Gordon's going to do this year. I think he's just going to be the most impactful guy on defense. But the other guy I'll go with is Javon Dexter. Like, it's not so much that like. It's just such an important position as well, that three technique in the defense. And there's a lot of hype of him in training camp, like all the reporters saying, "Oh, Javon looks amazing, And I don't know, you guys feel differently. I didn't see too much of it in the preseason games. Maybe I wasn't watching closely enough, maybe didn't get enough snaps, but what I saw is that the get off wasn't that great. And once he got pushing, he was pushing a guy back, so the strength is clearly there. So if the kind of hype that he was getting early on in preseason is there, the guy could be a monster. And I'm not, I'm obviously hoping it happens. I'm just saying I haven't seen it yet. But it's such an important position. He's such a freak athlete that if he can put it together, that would just be a huge, huge addition to the defense.
All right, I had a few in my mind. Going last can be hard.
I hope you picked the guy I hope you picked the other guy I was leaning towards.
Well, all right, so I had it down to two, and one was Dexter. But I figured a lot of people are talking about Dexter. This guy's more forgotten. But back to something I teased earlier, the leader of interceptions, it will not be Jaylon Johnson. It will not be Kyler Gordon. It will be Tyreek Stevenson. Or it might be the guy I want to talk about, Tremaine Edmonds. People talked about almost as if he had like a bad year last year. And there were some bad moments. But if you look at his stats, he was over 100 tackles. He was getting tackles for losses, interceptions. I want to say he had 4 forced fumbles. And that was with a slow or choppy start to the season. With him in the middle, I really think he could do some major damage with a top 10, maybe top 5 defense. I want to see him put it all together. And you talk about the secondary as a strength, but they got some coverage linebackers as well that could really help the defensive line that might not be as strong. So I just like to see it all come together, and he's the guy right in the middle of it all. So I got my eye on Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah, I love it. And just kind of what you just said there, like just all those names we just listed. I mean, there's 6, 7, 8, maybe really, really good football players on this defense. And that's just super exciting.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so I was hoping you would say Austin Booker, but I think that was the better answer just because Austin Booker, all I want to see, what I'm excited to see from Austin Booker is I want to see him at least transcend from the preseason to the regular season and continue at least on an upward incline, right? That's all I want to see. I'm not expecting Mark Anderson numbers, even though that would be fantastic. All right, we're going to move on to our third segment. If you've been a householder for a while, you are very used to this segment, and it is called Best Case, Worst Case. We're going to quickly give what do we think our best case scenario is for the Chicago Bears this season, and then we'll go around again and give our worst case. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Sorry, am I doing best or worst first?
Best first, worst is last.
So, I mean, we're not going full what you guys did early on in the podcast, right? Like,
we'll see what I do.
Rob will. Rob will.
I'll give the realistic best case, which is 12 wins, win the division, get to buy that first round, they win a playoff game, and then basically lose to the 49ers in the NFC Championship. I think that's kind of just the realistic ceiling expectation for what can happen here.
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
You say get a bye. There's only one bye though.
Oh well. All right, so we got to win 2 playoff games. That makes it yeah. So I mean that's kind of where I'm at. Just NFC Championship, I think is kind of best case scenario for this team. The defense can take it that far, and if Caleb can by that many games, 19 games into his career, just is a little bit more of a knows when to turn it on, when to pull back, and just manage the game. Plus have the impact plays. Like that's I think the ceiling for me.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, mine's not going to be too sexy either. To me, best case scenario is Caleb Williams looks the part. The defense is a top defense. They make the playoff as division winners. They win a game in the playoffs. That's about where I'll go. But once you do all that, could you go further? Of course. Being in the playoffs is a big deal. And once you're there, you just got to be hot at the right time. But I'm going to try to also be reasonable and say division winner, win a game in the playoffs. That'd be pretty fantastic.
So mine isn't going to be as crazy, I think, as everyone thinks it might be. We'll see about worst case.
I'm worried about the worst case, Bob.
Best case is, and I think I've hinted at this enough, the Chicago Bears are going to be dominating enough in the NFC, not to win the NFC North. I'm giving that to the Lions. But we're going to look at them securing that second spot in the division, already secured a playoff spot, going into the final week of the season, resting all their starters. Tyson Bagent outplays Jordan Love to knock them out of wild card contention. Okay? He outplays Jordan Love. They end up going 8-9 with a losing season. Chicago Bears win a playoff game. Caleb Williams is the real deal. Unfortunately, that's the best we got.
I'm blown away that I had the best case scenario. I mean, I got him winning 2 playoff games.
Rob, you left off one part.
What's that?
Tyson Bagent plays well in that last game, but his dad actually arm wrestled Jordan Love the day before and snapped his wrist. So that contributed. But you want him out playing Love, I think.
I want him out playing Love.
I just figured they featured his dad so much on Hard Knocks, he should get a shout out here.
And on top of that, somehow we're playing Drew that last game. I'm pretty sure that's who took him. Has Jordan Love in UFFL, and somehow that knocks him out of the UFFL playoffs, and we move into the playoffs. Something like that happens in UFFL as well.
I hope we've already secured our spot by then. All right, worst case?
We're going worst case now?
Yep, worst case. Go ahead, Bob.
So, Caleb Williams preseason has been very confusing for me. He's had some risky throws, but for the most part, he's looked very competent, and which is just so odd because, I just didn't think that somebody who painted their nails could be a good quarterback. So, I guess, it turns out that as the season goes along, all the nail painting and the funny red outfits and everything actually somehow matters. And, he's just okay at best. And they kind of just, the defense isn't getting turnovers and they just falter to 6-11 or whatever. And it just is, it's an ugly year, not bad enough for Eberflus to get fired, but nobody's excited about anything. And, it's just a bunch of blah again.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's obviously very tongue-in-cheek about the nail painting. I want to make sure that that's clear for the listeners. I don't actually think that affects quarterback play, but
Oh, man. I mean, mine is so similar, and I definitely don't want to talk about injuries because I kind of feel like it'd be worse if you just don't get to know what you have for some reason. Think about like Anthony Richardson with the Colts last year,
Yeah.
where you just saw a little bit of a glimpse, and then that's all you got to see. But I would say worst case is he doesn't look as good as you expect. The defense isn't as good as you expect. Eberflus, I mean, in the past, even games they had locked up, there was no finish, as we know in the past. So if he's looking bad and you are thinking about firing him, but like you don't even think Waldron's the guy, like that would be the worst. Is just nothing looks good. You don't even take a step forward, and you actually take a step back. That would be the worst because I really think Poles has built something that you want to see this as the kickoff of more contention to come. But if there's a sputter in this first year, how much do you call into question? Because now you got to make some big decisions that could affect the direction of this rebuild. So that would be the worst case.
So my worst case is not going to be anything like it was when
I was in prison, or
nothing was in prison. I was divorced. Nothing along those regards. However, and I think this is going to speak volumes to the fact on how good I think the Chicago Bears team can be this year. They're going to be in the mix, okay? Granted, they were in the mix last year. They were still on that little, screenshot there on ESPN or NFL Network. They were in the hunt. They're going to be in the hunt for real this season. But October comes, and Matt Eberflus gets some weird, unfortunate mite problem, and he has to shave the beard, but he also has to shave his head. And he starts wearing a visor. And he has a card that says BU. And we relive the Matt Nagy era. And the Chicago Bears fall just short. They win 7-8 games. We look like we did last year. We still have enough hype for Caleb Williams, though. And that's my worst case scenario.
Is the game that eliminates them from being in the hunt a game where Santos triple doinks?
That would definitely add to it, right? Like the 2018, just bring it all back.
Add another doink.
Right here, doink. All right.
I will say I feel more confident that they'll be closer to my best case than my worst.
Yeah, I just feel too good about this team. It's hard to come up with the worst case scenario right now. All right, last thing, we're going to wrap this up. We're just going to go around, and I want you to tell me how you think the NFC North Division is going to finish as far as teams. You don't have to give me reasons why. Just tell me where you think people are going to rank, and then give me what prediction you have for records for the Chicago Bears. Bob?
I still got Detroit winning the division. I don't think they're going to run away with it. I don't think they're a 13-win team. And then the Bears and Packers are going to be very close between 9 and 10. Which ones get 9, which ones get 10. But I'll say they both get 9 wins, and the Bears finish 9 and 8 and sneak in that 7th seed of the playoffs.
All right. I was on the record at having the Bears at 11 and 6, and then on the record having them 12 and 5.
Chicago Sports Bums. I got it right that time.
That's right. I'm going to go back to my 11 and 6. And that's because I don't have them winning the division, which is impressive. I guess if you win 11, you should probably get there. But I'm going to say the Lions hold on to the division. Bears do make the playoffs and go 11 and 6. Then I have Packers. And of course, I think it's pretty obvious that the Vikings are going to be the 4th team, unless they pull off something none of us see coming.
If they win the division, it's because the other 3 teams.
Well, I just meant if they finish 3rd instead of 4th.
Yeah. I just don't see the Vikings. I mean, they could win 6-7 games. They don't have to be a 3 or 4 win team, but yeah.
All right. I have it Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings. I have the Bears at 11 and 6. I originally had them 10 and 5, changed it to 11 and 6 at the Chicago Sports Bums. I'm going to stick with that 11 and 6 record. And I will just point out that I don't care how bad Minnesota is, as long as Justin Jefferson is a top 5 wide receiver.
Because I had to convince you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, for you listeners, I had to pick right after Justin and Rob, but they took Justin Jefferson right before me. I wanted Justin Jefferson. If there's one thing I believe Sam Darnold can do, it's feed Justin Jefferson. So,
and it's not like you got a bad receiver in Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I guess I got Jamar Chase. I'm not complaining, but yeah. I just like Justin Jefferson.
All right, well, that does it for episode 86, the Marty Booker / somewhat Zach Miller episode. Guys, have any last thoughts before the season?
It's just exciting.
So exciting.
I'm ready. I mean,
hey, that was like at the exact same time. It's exciting. It's like that New Girl episode. Now try to do it again, but obviously you never will because Nick and Winston couldn't do it.
Yeah, but it's just to come off a competent offseason from the front office and then like have really good football players on both sides of the ball. Like it's weird.
Yeah,
it's just exciting.
I'm not just saying this because this was a betting episode, but I'm just interested to see how often the Bears are going to be favored to win this year. I mean, if you go over the last 2 years, maybe when they played Carolina, maybe when they played Washington at home or something, but it should be a regular occurrence from here moving forward. And how far forward? Hopefully years to come.
It's already in week 1. They're favored to beat the Titans. So, all right. Well, that does it for us at the Hallis Huddle. Again, please hit that subscribe button. Please share this with your friends who are Bears fans. Get them to subscribe. Share the jersey that you guys could win. I don't care. That's it for us, though. So we're going to go bear down, claws up.